Now it's going to take about 8 pieces of coal to fill this bar up. But if we were to use a Stirling engine, it'd only take about, I think, 2? Ah, boy, this is actually kind of annoying. This is going to take a while. Well, anyway, I suppose we don't have to wait too long. So here's what we do. We've got a slot up to the top left, a slot in the middle, and we've got 18 slots in like a little inventory section here. You see these guys?
Yeah.
And then up to the top, we have a button that is grayed out at the moment. The little right arrow.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, let's see. Here's what we're going to do. We have to put alchemical flasks in this inventory right here.
Okay.
So I'm going to fill that guy up. They only take 1 per slot. And here's the thing what you do. So I don't know if you've seen this yet, but you probably have now, because normally if you hold shift over an item, it brings up a tooltip. But in this GUI, that tooltip is always active. And if you mouse over something like cobblestone, you see a bunch of little element names and like gram values.
Okay.
Now, that's how much of each element that one item of this stack has. So if I put like a piece of cobblestone in here, 1 piece of cobblestone, and if I push this button, it deconstructs it, and it gives me, it puts the silicon, the oxygen, the potassium, the iron, it puts all those in available spots down here in the inventory. You see?
Okay. Wow, that's cool.
Now, if you shift right click, if you shift click that button, it'll do the whole stack that you put in. And right now, so now we have about half a stack worth of cobblestone in here. Yeah, there it goes. It's a little jankier looking on a server because, of course, of my connection. Alright, now we don't want to do that too much more because we're using up a lot of energy. We really don't have a lot to work with. But we also have a good amount of silicon, oxygen, potassium, and iron in here. Now here's the thing. So you can deconstruct just about anything, but for reconstruction, it's a bit more of a task. Also, I just heard a skeleton dying.
I heard it too.
Is it like right up here? How does that even happen? Where'd it go? Oh, our basement is probably just... Alright, screw it. I don't care. We're fine. Alright, so over here on the work table, I'm going to come and I'm going to make up a recipe here. This is the recipe. Be careful, don't shift click this, otherwise it'll create like 40. Alright, we don't want that. This is a research vellum, and I'm going to take one of these suckers. And now I have a research vellum. These things do not stack.
Alright, I'm gonna grab one too.
Now, if we come into this GUI here, you see we have a little bit more energy. That's good. You know what? I should put more coal in this. Alright, so if I put a research vellum in here, it goes into the top left slot here. And then when I put something in, and I just like do one normal click, it not only does it take the elements, but it tries to like research something that cobblestone can, like what's cobblestone. It'll try to give us a recipe, see if we get something. Come on. Here we go. Oh, magnet glove recipe. All right, that probably shouldn't trigger off a cobblestone, but whatever. I'll fix that later. Also, don't stand there. I need to put this is like, so these spots right here, you can actually put other things here if you want, as long as the other things that I mentioned, the bookshelves and the cauldron, is here. And I like to put storage units about here. And in the bottom, I will put recipes for like items. And the nice thing about these recipes, when you put them in here, go ahead and put your research vellum in this GUI again. When it tries to say, like, it reaches from the pool of stuff that it can find, it can research, it will exclude anything in a nearby chest. So we won't get the magnet glove recipe again if we put it in that chest.
Okay.
Alright, and we got mossy stone bricks recipe. Alright, so here's something interesting. So we now have a recipe up in the top left here, and if we take the item out of the middle, the button ungrays itself, and it says, okay, this takes silicon, oxygen, potassium, and iron. And it kind of highlights those items. And it's highlighting them all in white, which means we have sufficient amount. So if we press this button, it'll actually create that using that amount of elements that we have stored here.
That's cool.
So we have mossy stone bricks now if we want. That's kind of cool. I don't really want them though. Oh, no.
I don't know.
I was just lagging a bit, I guess. Oh, dude, don't just randomly put in there. Now we got a bunch of extra junk. We have to be careful. Because each of these things, like, we can overflow if we're not being careful. And you're just throwing willy-nilly in there. If you're going to throw willy-nilly in there, at least put a research vellum in there.
Okay.
I'm going to put the block recipes. I'm going to put block recipes in the second chest. Alright, here we go. So, now we probably can research more stuff with cobblestone. Let's just keep doing that. Alchemical furnace recipe. That's cool. I'll save that for later. Put it in there, though. Alright, go ahead and see what we get. We got nothing. There we go. Storage unit upgrade recipe. I'm going to put that in here for later. That's going to be awesome. That does what you think it does. Chiseled stone bricks. Awesome. Dude, we're going to want to build with some of these, so we'll kind of head down to that.
This is cool.
What we're looking for now is stone or stone bricks recipe, so that we can transmute stone or stone bricks directly from this and save ourselves some coal. Oh, Alchemist wrench. I probably shouldn't proc off with that. Alright, cool. I thought I fixed that, but apparently I didn't. Oh, iron dust recipe. There we go. So you can make iron dust out of iron. Moss stone.
Correct stone.
Alright, that's nice.
Grabbing 4 more of these.
This is why I told you we needed like 18 stacks of leather. And I was not kidding. Alright, stone recipe. Perfect! We have stone recipe. Now we can transmute this guy directly into stone. We all have the cobblestone recipe. Unless, in case we want to get cobblestone. Generally speaking, the best way to get the recipe for something is...
Stone
oh, here
bricks.
we go. Stone bricks. Perfect. Now we can make stone bricks out of this stuff. So, actually, let me demonstrate here. Don't put another thing in there right now. I'm going to put cobblestone in here. I'm going to tell it to deconstruct an entire stack of this. And then when I'm done, I'm going to put the stone brick recipe, and I'm going to tell it to construct an entire stack. And that will basically use the exact amount that we just put in. So we got a little overflow here. We got 100 grams of oxygen. 100 grams is the most you can store in one flask.
Cool.
But here we go. We got 64 stone bricks out of this junk. So now we have a pretty quick way to make ourselves stone bricks, and we can make our basement look nicer.
Yeah. That's awesome. I like this crafting mechanic.
Yeah, it's neat. It's neat. All right, here's the thing. Let's not don't do anything else yet right now. Check this out. So we have, you see, we have 2 separate bottles of silicon and oxygen in here right now. Just because we've been doing a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
We don't want 2 separate ones. I'm going to take the second one. I'm going to take them out, and I'm going to shift click them in. And it's going to consolidate it. And what it did is it took the oxygen in one and it put it in the other. Now we only have 94. And it gave me back an empty alchemical flask. And I'm going to do the same thing with the silicon. But this time, it filled up 1 silicon. And there's still an extra one with like 9 grams. So if you got a bunch of little ones with a bunch of things, just take them out, shift click them in periodically, and they will consolidate.
Okay.
But once you get 100 grams in something, so if we take this out, if we had another 100 grams of silicon, those 2 would stack outside the GUI. And then I tend to just like put them up in the top one. And we just have, because we will get a lot of excess carbon and oxygen, specifically from all the junk that we deconstruct.
Okay.
So just like be aware, you have to manage this pretty intelligently, or it will like overflow and waste. Because if it tries to deconstruct something and there's no free space for it to go in, it'll just waste it. So be very careful with how much you deconstruct at a time. and what elements are on what.
Alrighty.
But to be fair, there are only like 12 or 13 active elements on every thing. The exception of like 1 or 2 like really rare ones. But yeah, so at the moment I'd say, yeah, we got a good amount of energy in this die too. So this is still a more efficient way to make stone bricks than using vanilla smelting. And it's also way faster. All right, we're not getting anything. I think the well actually might be dry on this particular item. Because if I remember correctly, this is everything you can get from it. All these different types from cobblestone. In fact, I wasn't aware that you could get the magnet glove furnace. Those 4 things I was not aware you could get from that. Yeah, for the most part, if you want like other types of saplings, you use a sapling and you can get those things. And if you want like different types of plants, you can transmute those. Coal, looks like you can get gunpowder. You can get a few unique, neat things from coal, actually. Remember to put the recipe in one of these so that it excludes it from the next time. However, here's something you want. If you have a recipe you do not want, you could shapelessly craft it back into an empty recipe. So, if you do forget, it's not the end of the world.